Audrey Hepburn was born on May 4, 1929, in Brussels, Belgium, and spent her early years in the Netherlands and the United Kingdom. Her childhood was shaped by World War II, food shortages, displacement, and an environment that required restraint and composure. These early experiences influenced her approach to discipline, modesty, and emotional control. After the war, she studied ballet, worked in London theatre, and took small film roles. Her career shifted when she was cast in the Broadway production of Gigi in 1951. Her performance led to the lead role in Roman Holiday, 1953, which brought her international recognition. Hepburn won the Academy Award for Best Actress for that performance, establishing her as a prominent figure in American cinema. During the 1950s and early 1960s, Hepburn became associated with a series of commercially successful and critically recognized films, including Sabrina, 1954, Funny Face, 1957, The Nun Story, 1959, Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961, Charade, 1963, and My Fair Lady, 1964. She developed a working reputation for professionalism, punctuality, and simplicity in preparation. Her public image, shaped by fashion partnerships and studio publicity, emphasized elegance and reserved glamour. However, those close to her noted that she preferred quiet routines, domestic environments, and interpersonal privacy. She did not seek an expansive social life within Hollywood circles and generally avoided entertainment industry socialization outside of professional obligations. The pressures of her career included travel, contractual commitments, and high levels of public attention. Hepburn maintained composure in public, but she reportedly experienced stress due to the visibility placed on her personal life. Her image was widely circulated in press outlets internationally, often focusing on her appearance and demeanor rather than her acting process. She did not pursue fame as an independent goal. Rather, the work itself was a primary focus. As Hollywood productions required extended periods of on-set shooting, rehearsals, media promotion, and event attendance, Hepburn spent considerable periods away from home, which conflicted with her personal desire for stability. In 1954, Hepburn married actor Mel Ferrer. Their marriage included both personal and professional collaboration, such as their work together in War and Peace, 1956. The marriage was characterized by a structured household and clear division of responsibilities. Hepburn expressed interest in building a stable family life and prioritized becoming a mother. Her first pregnancy ended in miscarriage, and subsequent attempts to have children were met with difficulty. She gave birth to her first son, Sean Ferrer, in 1960. After becoming a mother, Hepburn began reassessing her schedule and obligations. She continued acting but increasingly expressed interest in reducing her workload in order to spend more time at home. The turning point in her career trajectory occurred in the mid-1960s. Hepburn starred in Wait Until Dark, 1967, a thriller requiring significant emotional and physical focus. After completing this project, Hepburn made the decision to withdraw from full-time Hollywood work. Rather than a sudden exit, it was a structured shift based on personal priorities. She recognized that the pace and visibility of Hollywood productions did not align with the family-centered environment she sought for her son. Her marriage to Ferrer came under strain, and the two divorced in 1968. In 1969, Hepburn married Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dotti. She moved to Rome and then to the countryside in Switzerland, where she raised a second son, Luca, born in 1970. This relocation away from the United States and Hollywood-centered production regions marked the practical completion of her departure from the entertainment industry. The geographical change positioned her life around European domestic routines rather than film studios, press events, or industry infrastructures. Hepburn chose a lifestyle centered on privacy, time with her children, and structured home life. She minimized public appearances and did not pursue new film roles during this period. The decision reflected a consistent value system rather than a rejection of Hollywood itself. Hepburn had no public disputes, professional conflicts, or dramatic withdrawal statements. She left the industry gradually, through declining new projects and by repositioning her home and priorities. She continued to receive offers for major roles but accepted few of them. The period following her move to Europe was characterized by family focus and personal routine rather than public performance. Hepburn maintained occasional professional involvement, but film commitments were limited, carefully selected and arranged to avoid extended separation from her children. Her departure from Hollywood was not the result of a single event, but rather the outcome of accumulated priorities regarding family, privacy, and stability. After relocating to Europe, Audrey Hepburn reorganized her life around consistency, family structure, and privacy. Her home life in Switzerland and Italy centered on raising her sons, maintaining household routines, and establishing long-term stability. The region she chose allowed her relative anonymity compared to Hollywood and major U.S. media centers. This environment aligned with her preference for limited public exposure and minimal intrusion from press outlets. Hepburn prioritized regular schedules, schooling continuity for her children, and domestic routines that were not disrupted by filming calendars. Those close to her noted that she valued ordinary activities, including cooking, gardening, and spending time outdoors more than public engagements. Though widely described as leaving Hollywood, Hepburn did not completely end her acting career. Instead, she shifted from continuous participation to selective involvement. She appeared in a small number of carefully chosen film and television projects over the next 2 decades. These included Robin and Mary in 1976, where she starred opposite Sean Connery, and Bloodline, 1979. Although she declined many more roles than she accepted, her appearances during this period were infrequent and spaced apart, reflecting her emphasis on maintaining family-centered life. Hepburn also participated in a limited number of public events or interviews, primarily in support of charitable causes or professional relationships formed earlier in her career. Her decision to withdraw from the entertainment industry was not based on dissatisfaction with acting or career fatigue. Hepburn consistently stated that her choice reflected her belief that childhood stability was more important than public career visibility. She expressed the view that children require parental presence, daily routine, and emotional consistency. These priorities were incompatible with the long production schedules and international travel associated with film work. She did not express regret regarding her decision to reduce her acting schedule. Rather, she described it as necessary and aligned with her values. By the late 1970s, Hepburn's marriage to Andrea Dotti experienced strain. Reports indicate that the couple had differing expectations regarding social environment, lifestyle, and personal attention. The marriage eventually ended, though the two continued to co-parent their son Luca. Hepburn remained in Switzerland, continuing the private domestic life she had developed there. Her proximity to nature, privacy, and quiet surroundings remained central to her daily routines. During the 1980s, Hepburn gradually increased her involvement in humanitarian work. Her early experiences living in war-torn Europe had created a lasting awareness of food insecurity, displacement, and child welfare needs. These early memories influenced her interest in humanitarian causes later in life. She began working closely with UNICEF, focusing primarily on raising global awareness of children's conditions in regions affected by poverty, conflict, or limited medical access. Her involvement included field visits, meetings with health workers, fundraising conferences, and on-site documentation efforts. This humanitarian work marked a shift in how Hepburn used her public profile. While she had historically minimized media appearances, she used her visibility purposefully during this period to draw attention to causes that aligned with her personal history and values. Her field visits were carefully documented to support relief funding and international attention. Hepburn traveled to countries including Ethiopia, Bangladesh, and Vietnam, where she met with families, medical professionals, and aid coordinators. Her statements during these trips were direct, emphasizing the need for sustained support and long-term resource distribution. Hepburn's humanitarian involvement did not replace her personal privacy, but existed alongside it. When not traveling for UNICEF, she continued to live quietly in Switzerland, maintaining her established household structure. She did not re-enter Hollywood public life or expand her professional engagements beyond select appearances related to humanitarian campaigns. Her identity remained grounded in domestic life, personal relationships, and philanthropic service rather than performance or celebrity. Throughout this period, public interest in Hepburn continued due to the lasting influence of her films and enduring use of her image in fashion and cultural media. However, her absence from Hollywood created a distance between her public legacy and her private activities. She did not actively manage her celebrity status. Instead, she allowed her film work to represent her in public memory while she focused on responsibilities she considered more meaningful. Hepburn's decision to leave Hollywood was therefore the product of multiple consistent priorities: a desire for structured family life, discomfort with intense public attention, preference for personal privacy, and value placed on meaningful humanitarian engagement. These factors combined over time rather than emerging from a single turning point. The record shows that her withdrawal was deliberate, stable, and sustained, reflecting a permanent shift in identity from public performer to private parent and advocate. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, Audrey Hepburn's identity was defined more by her humanitarian commitments than by her film career. Her work with UNICEF became her primary public role. She was appointed a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador in 1988, and her involvement was consistent and structured rather than symbolic. She traveled to areas experiencing famine, disease outbreaks, and refugee displacement. These visits included Ethiopia, Sudan, Bangladesh, and Central and South America. Her work focused on field observation, direct interaction with communities, and documentation intended to influence international policy and funding allocation. During these visits, Hepburn emphasized basic human needs: access to food, clean water, medical resources, and childhood education. She observed health centers, met with aid workers, and listened to families affected by malnutrition and conflict. Her public statements during this time were clear and measured, outlining conditions and identifying specific needs rather than emotional appeals. Hepburn stated that her humanitarian involvement allowed her to contribute to issues that were important to her and rooted in her early life experiences during wartime. She described the work as practical and necessary rather than charitable display. Her withdrawal from Hollywood was therefore not simply a personal preference, but an alignment of her values with her daily activities. She chose a life structure where public visibility served a functional purpose. She did not return to full-time acting after beginning her humanitarian work. Films offered to her during this period were declined in favor of travel schedules and project commitments with UNICEF. Her public appearances were limited to press conferences and presentations connected to relief efforts, where she spoke about the conditions she witnessed. These statements centered on factual accounts rather than celebrity-driven messaging. Hepburn's final major film role was a brief appearance in Always, 1989, directed by Steven Spielberg. The role required limited shooting time and did not conflict with her existing priorities. After this project, she did not pursue further acting work. Her final years were focused on humanitarian travel and maintaining her home in Switzerland. In late 1992, Hepburn was diagnosed with abdominal cancer. The disease progressed quickly, leading to reduced travel capabilities. She continued to participate in UNICEF strategy discussions and advocacy messaging during her treatment, though she was no longer able to conduct field visits. She died on January 20, 1993, in Tolochenaz, Switzerland, at the age of 63. Her funeral was private, attended by family, close friends, and colleagues. Representatives from UNICEF were present, reflecting her active role in the organization until the end of her life. After her death, public understanding of her life began to shift. While her iconic film roles remained culturally significant, the final decades of her life became increasingly recognized as equally defining. The reason she left Hollywood came into clearer focus: not burnout, conflict, scandal, or industry rejection, but a consistent personal preference for privacy, family-centered life, European residence, and humanitarian engagement. The record shows no single dramatic departure event or public declaration. Instead, her withdrawal was gradual, planned, and rooted in stable long-term priorities. Media narratives that suggested she abandoned Hollywood due to dissatisfaction or emotional collapse are not supported by verified evidence. Hepburn did not express disillusionment with film work. Her reflections on her career were consistently appreciative and respectful. She acknowledged the opportunities a film career provided, but stated that it did not represent her entire identity. Her exit was not rejection, but reordering. In reviewing her life trajectory, several consistent factors explain Audrey Hepburn's departure from Hollywood. She valued family stability and believed it required daily presence, preferring private environments over public display. She found long production schedules incompatible with raising her children and prioritized a home life structured around routine rather than travel. She was drawn to humanitarian work that aligned with her personal values and her early experiences witnessing hardship during wartime. Additionally, she chose to live in Europe, intentionally distancing herself both physically and culturally from the Hollywood industry environment. These motivations remain steady across her public statements, interviews, and biographical documentation. As a result, her legacy is divided into two significant and enduring parts: a concentrated decade of film work that influenced global fashion, performance style, and the definition of screen elegance, and her later humanitarian work, which was practical, sustained, and rooted in direct involvement rather than symbolic association. Her departure from Hollywood was neither sudden nor mysterious. It was a deliberate, gradual, and lasting life choice based on priorities that did not align with the demands of the film industry. The real reason she left Hollywood was that she did not require it to define her identity or her purpose.